For 2 years, we've tried to make this video, and I've had this question boggling my mind the whole time. Can you answer this one question for me?
Yes.
Your username is Chipflake. Do you prefer chips or cereal?
Well, that depends because a chip is something different in Britain, so.
That wasn't the question.
Chipflake is a trans animated YouTuber, and I've actually been fascinated with their content for the longest time. Because like Fiersona and Meat Canyon, it's not something I've actually seen before. And Chipflake is the best and worst storytime channel I've ever seen. As on one side, they tell stories like any other person, but on the other side, they have an ever-changing art style paired with a lot of non-storytime videos. So join me on this deep dive of who Chipflake is, what they're about, and why they keep changing art styles for God's sakes. But before we get into that, let's dive on in to today's sponsor. Have you just had a long day drawing your favorite funny cartoon dad? If so, crack open a good cold can of Raid Shadow Legends. Are you growing, son? No, that's just this dragon right here. Aw man, you distracted me. Now I have to focus on this high quality free-to-play action game on my phone. But if your phone isn't big enough to handle all this, you can also play on PC. Enter the epic world of Teleria and immerse yourself in this epic dark fantasy RPG, which is full of tons and tons and tons of heroes and so many ongoing online tournaments. I personally chose Gallic as my champion because he's a cool orc. Let's open a shard now. Ooh, Sister Militant, level 1. And if you want a head start playing this fun game, you should definitely use the links in the description below to get all these free things. 50,000 silver, 50 gems, 5 mystery shards, 1 energy refill, 1 day XP boost, 1 clan boss key, and even an awesome free champion, Shaman. If you want to play as her or any of these other champions I collected, then go download Raid Shadow Legends now using the links to help my channel. And you'll find extra rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. It looks like I also need to click that link. Find me there at Daft Pina, and let's go drink that sweet warm embrace that is Raid Shadow Legends.
Bloodmare asked, who's Chipflake and what do they do for a living? So who are you?
It's a great question. I would say I'm an animator and a YouTuber, and that's what I do for a living. Make animations for YouTube.
Oh, by the way, at the end of this segment, I'm gonna show you what I'm drawing right here. So stay tuned for that. But circling back to Chip, one of the first things you'll notice with their works is that they aren't at all consistent with their art in each video. One might be paper, lip-synced, puppeted, or even frame by frame, with only recently having a more consistent aesthetic. What's interesting about the thing I just said is that although the style changes in nearly every video, what brings the audience back every time is the personality and brand recognition of the cat character. You see, after studying media and a little bit of animation in college, Chip learned about advertising and brand appeal, and the user knowledge to create a character that is A, recognizable, B, marketable, and C, easy to draw. The recognizable aspect actually makes it easier for when Chip changes art, as no matter what the style is, as long as the main features of the character are still there, people will recognize and still enjoy the cartoon.
I'm hoping that at some point I can sustain myself off of less frequent but longer videos in the future. That'd allow me to flex my creative muscles while not getting overloaded with work.
Recognizable?
As Chip went through a lot of major changes in terms of character design. Originally a pony and then a lynx, and eventually just chose a cat as, hey, everyone knows what that is.
Basically, I could take a circle and add pointy ears and a nose and a mouth, and boom, that's a cat.
Marketable is an overall brand-friendly approach to design and personality, and if you want a deeper dive into what makes a good character design, then go watch this video by BAM Animation.
Lastly, with easy to draw, Chipflake actually used to believe that more detailed works are better.
I thought that simple styles were not as good as really detailed styles, so I would spend a bunch of detail into my character stills and animations and stuff, and now I'm just like a more Chip, like simply make a couple facial expressions, no fancy lip sync or anything. It's really nice. Like, I feel like I can be way more expressive with that and not have to think about like, oh, how is this gonna work with the animation and how the arm's gonna animate and the mouth and all that.
Of course, this is just their personal preference with detail, but having an easy to draw character does lead to more art and promotion of it. Mario and Sonic are so simple that if you badly draw it, people will still recognize who they are. So understanding these 3 points will make your art more suitable for mainstream audiences. But of course, when balancing marketability and a brand-friendly nature, that can actually hurt the person behind the mask. Former Let's Player Julian of Oni Plays detailed his experience with this in a Tumblr post, as becoming this character of himself disallowed him to be real to his audience, and on some occasions would actually affect his personal life. Talking with Chip about this, as their OC is a cat, a non-human animal, they had some thoughts on this.
With this Chipflake persona, do you actually see yourself as the character?
That's a hard one. I find it more of a mix, to be honest. I usually use the term mascot.
Well, since Chip is more of a brand representation of yourself, do you have a character that you would consider more you?
Well, if we think about my personas, the one that represents who I want to be is like really confident, and he's more like masculine because I'm trans, and it's like something that I don't really express about myself, and I kind of wish that I could. And yeah, that character just represents like not really caring about what other people think of you and things like that.
Going further into this brand-friendly aspect, Chip does cuss here and there in real life, but doesn't cuss on their channel as they want to be more evergreen. But since this is my channel, we can do things a bit differently.
Would you like to say a cuss word since it's on my channel?
Sure.
So, to be clear, Chip is not an otherkin. So they're just a furry in general, and the cat's just a mascot. They don't believe they're a cat. Nope. Fun side note, I gave a poll to see if my audience prefers animals or humans as protagonists, and in general they preferred humans. But as this comment said, no matter what, there's always going to be porn. Well, only if there's good character design. And at this point, you might be wondering, wait, why does Chip keep changing art styles? Doesn't always changing it affect your audience? Yes and no. Part of their reason for frequently changing the style is partially to avoid burnout, and part of it's to try to figure out what the audience wants for each video, as each topic is different. Like Meat Canyon, Chip posts more frequently than other storytime animators, and in doing so, they have to think about how to make production faster and easier in order to produce better results for the algorithm. And for the most part, Chip's audience actually doesn't mind this, as changing the art style has become standard for the videos.
Sniper Nighter asked, out of all your different style changes, which one did you find that was your most to your liking?
Sniper Net is actually a patron of mine as well.
I remember they DM'd me in Patreon and whatnot. They said, I wonder if Chipflake will recognize me. I was like, I'm sure.
Yeah. I do like my latest one quite a lot, but I also liked once I did they were like frame by frame animations, and they looked really nice, and it was really satisfying to see it all come together. So I like that one a lot too.
In the case of Chipflake, you can actually see that you don't actually have to stay with an art style to captivate an audience, only if you have a well-designed character. So balancing your need for change and necessity and sameness is a thing I want to explore within this video, and was something Chip saw within their own audience.
I feel like a lot of beginner artists worry so much about this kind of stuff. Like recently, helped a patron of mine with an animation he made, and it like took him 6 months to make this animation, and I said to him like, dude, you don't have to put effort into it, people are gonna enjoy it either way, you know? And it's got like lip sync and frame by frame and all these effects and stuff.
Have you ever had this happen? You took too long on a piece, or even just felt something wasn't complete yet?
Yeah, I can't really say I've ever really had an issue with feeling like my art's not finished. I've been like unhappy with work, obviously, but I've never really like attached that to the idea of it not being complete. It's interesting.
As long as you can get past the emotions of finishing a piece of art, as well as narrowing down the style to work with, you can be like Chip and slowly find your art style as you grow your brand. Even Adam and Jaden evolved their art over time, slowly improving on the little things. And while I got Chip in an interview, I did the most evil thing you can do to an artist. I forced them to rewatch their first animation for public reaction. Well, by forced, I mean politely asked, and by public reaction, I mean reflecting on the past to see how you improved in the future. Now, turning the clock back, that is, scrolling down to the first video. Chip's first Chipflake video is not the first video on Chipflake, but it is the first on-brand video where we learned that the video was created in order for Chip to get over the hurdle, that is, creating a video. Rewatching their first video, we actually got to experience the past to see what changed and what stayed the same.
So tell me about this video. January 3rd, 2017. Tell me and bring me to the mindset of the young Chipflake.
Yeah, so this was after I'd been wanting to start up a successful YouTube channel for a long time, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. This was me very much just forcing myself to make something, to get something out, because you know, the first hurdle is always the hardest. So I was very unenthusiastic while recording, editing this video, but once I had this one out, it became so much easier to make all of the other videos.
The thing is that I've never made anything that I would consider the best that I can do. I heard a quote a little while ago, and I can't
share the same mindset?
me where I heard it. I think it was in a YouTube video, so if you recognise it, please let me
Probably,
know.
yeah.
But it was but designing characters for a TV show, for example, takes a really long time and a lot of planning. So I tried multiple times to create my character that way, and I'd get demotivated halfway through.
It feels like 2017 you shares a lot of the same feelings as 2020 you.
Be aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah, I
and
guess
also
so.
not look too similar to it. I really don't like my voice. It makes me cringe so much.
Does
But
it?
like I said, this is something most people
Still
deal
does.
with.
And even some reflections happened.
How do you feel? How long has it been since you rewatched your first video?
Probably a couple years. I mean, I've like briefly, I don't think I've watched it in full since it came out.
Do you feel as if you lived up to the expectations you had back in 2017?
Yeah, definitely.
And that is why Chip is the best and worst case example of a storytime animator. It's because they really aren't one. You see, the standard storytime format often leads creators to lose their passion, as putting themselves in this restrictive box actually makes a lot of people experience burnout, or stagnate releasing content on a timely schedule. And that's why I believe if you count Chipflake as a storytime animator, it really doesn't do a service to their works. As although the art style isn't as consistent in each video, their experiments in trying something new actually leads to interesting results. And I'm always a fan of creators trying something new. Except for, a lot of people are telling me to go check out Cypher Den. Is something wrong for content? I guess we'll find out later. But taking a horsey ride back to Chipflake's animations, there's not too much I would do to improve them, as they've only recently found an art style or two that they feel comfortable drawing in. So it's best to wait and see what happens, and so far I'm glad to say, we won't see burnout from Chip anytime soon. But before we wrap this up, you want to see my drawing? Oh, look at it. There it is.
I've known Chip for a while, and they are an extremely kind and generous person. It's really nice to just meet people of a similar mindset who are also LGBT and have anxiety. I think it's really awesome that Chip constantly is trying to improve upon their work and an outstanding creator, and it's really nice to see somebody with such a good work ethic, and it really inspires me to create more and do better in my own work.
You may not be the best at everything when it comes to art, but at least you have fun with it. Sometimes.
Talking with Chip has given me some insight on why and how they do what they do, so I hope you take their words to heart when creating your future animated content. And keeping in mind the ABCs of character creation that I made up for this video: recognizability, marketability, and lastly, easy to draw ability. Understanding these things and taking time to rework your characters can give them new life and new audience to be appreciated by. You just first have to push past your own thoughts of self-doubt in order to produce the works you've always wanted to.
Don't worry about things so much. People care about the things that you're worrying about a lot less than you. So specifically, like with this video, this first video, how I just, threw together a character design until I liked it, and I was like, yes, this is good. Instead of worrying about, will this person like it? Will this person like it? Am I gonna like this in 3 years? Sometimes you really, really just gotta do it.
And that is it for this video. So thank you to Radpax and Chipflake for being in it, as without them, this probably wouldn't have turned out as the way it did. Neat. And special thank you to my patrons on screen, as it wasn't for them, my content wouldn't exist as it is today. If you want to join, you'll be able to get updates and videos before anyone else, and even get to ask questions to the people within the video. So until next time, subscribe on my main and second channel, and don't forget to join Eldest Marks and I's Discord for some cool fun. So until next time, don't forget to have